All right, welcome into the Blueprint, and what a difference a week could make. We were sitting here last week, Devin, after a painful loss on the road to the Trojans. We knew this week was going to be urgent. I felt it was going to be the most important game of Sharon Moore's career, and I think there was a lot of sentiment outside the program that was going to be the case. And you were at the game yesterday, right? You were there in person.
Yeah, I was there.
Tell me about the energy, man. I almost want to start there. Tell me about the energy that you felt from that team.
It was a different energy. I wasn't happy. I mean, we outline all these things for them to do, and why don't you do it every time? Okay? Just do it every time. Listen to the show. It comes out on Monday, and listen every time. Obviously, all the fans, they're watching, they're subscribed, they're resubscribing, they're making new pages, all these different things. The coaching staffs do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We cannot keep giving all these great nuggets and you wait too long to do the things. Let me give you my takeaways. It was a great atmosphere. I loved it. It was fun. Getting a chance to see old teammates. Josh Furman was there. Amar Darbo. Jared Wilson. Oh, man, it was great. Blake Countess has a son.
Yeah.
His son was there. Got him a football, all those different things, right? So let's go with the takeaways. Much more business-like approach. Not a lot of friend, not a lot of cool. It was more leader, players. Do your job. We'll celebrate after our job is done. Outstanding job there. We challenged them. Well, me personally, I challenged them. They responded. Went back to more pure progression, right? We got away from it a week ago. I said we have to stay in that space. They got into it, different forms of it as well. Can't wait to outline that. Outstanding by Chip Lindsey. And then I also said, when you drop back pass and it's not pure progression, what should it be, Jake? It should be you know exactly what the coverage is, and the play is designed to go and beat that coverage. Period. That means, Lindsey, you got to do a little more studying. He did that. Every single time it felt like it was a drop back pass that wasn't pure progression. There was a specific place where this ball should go based on what the coverage was going to be, and it was there. And a lot of times, it was split safety. We've talked about it, and they figured it out, and I love that. For the second week in a row, the offensive line played really, really good, right? 2 weeks ago, Al Borges, he gave me a stat. He said 80% of the time he had a perfect clean pocket. And I saw that, right? But you don't know the percentages because you're not counting. I'm not a math guy, right? But it just you look at the game, it's like, well, he's pretty protected here against USC. They're doing a nice job. You know, as much as everybody says, it's the line. They've shown clear improvement from that week. And then this week, I imagine that percentage might be even higher. And in the times they didn't protect well, which is what happens in football, Bryce made a play. Outstanding. And the last thing, amazing progress from Bryce. Last week, we talked about a clear regression. We outlined how he regressed, and he got his nerve back. And it was clear progress, and I cannot wait to outline it. One more thing, or a few more things. Out. Just listen to that word, out. Brandon Hillman, Rod Moore, Justice Haynes, Marlon Klein, Hogan Hansen, and eventually Evan Link.
Mm-hmm.
Insert Jaden Mangum, Jacob Oden, freshman. Jaden Sanders, freshman. Jordan Young, freshman. Zach Marshall, Deacon Tonielli, I guess that's how you say it.
Tonielli, yep.
Tonielli, and then Jordan Marshall. Oh, my goodness. The depth, the ability to stand up tall when your guys aren't available. Outstanding job by the Michigan Wolverines. Can we pipe in a round of applause, please, Adam?
Yeah.
Pipe in a round of applause. Yep. Unbelievable.
I'd even add another word, man, and I just think it's response. It's a response by all those guys that just stepped up, and frankly, I don't think you can tell the story of this game without bringing in the story of the USC game. And I think negativity, especially on social media, spreads much quicker than positivity, but both are equally important. And I just think this win doesn't excuse the USC game because what the sting, Dev, now is you say, oh, wait a second. That's a playoff football team. If you play to that standard, that's a playoff football team. And that USC loss puts you at 2 losses, which means now if they handle business, it's a win and get in against Ohio State. If you win and get in against Ohio State, but you've built no room for error effectively. That's the issue. Sharon sat up there and said last week, he said, hey, these issues were addressed. It's tackling. It was schematics. The guys weren't ready to play. He brought on the work short. He took some heat on social media. The team absolutely responded. Sharon responded. Chip called a great game. Wink called a great game. All those players you mentioned absolutely responded. I felt like Chip called probably his best game of the entire season. And going back and watching that, he had Ryan Walters' number. I love the way he used motions and shifts. He forced him to defend sideline to sideline. But then I think you even called for this last week. I saw it doesn't have to be the whole offense, but enough. Vertical passing game.
Yep.
Enough so they're stretched vertically as much as they are horizontally. I thought that was awesome. The tight end stepping up. I mean, I see no Marlon Klein. I see no Hogan Hansen, and I'm getting real worried. Zach Marshall, career day. Tony Ellie stepping up. The way they blocked in the run game, outstanding. Jordan Marshall, Dev.
Yeah.
I've never seen
Welcome
him,
back. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Tell me this, though. I've never seen him get stoned and knocked backwards. My dad would tell me as a running back, we were watching Eddie George. He's like, man, you know what Eddie George does? He always falls forward.
Yeah.
Jordan Marshall always falls forward. And it's like that extra yard or two that represents the fight of the team. The linebackers, my goodness, we might have the best linebacker room in all college football. It's up there with Ohio State's. I know they're excited about it. But just across the board, night and day difference. And now the thing is, Dev, we're going to hold the team and the staff to that
high standard now
forward because we know what you're capable
standard.
of.
Yeah, and more on Jordan Marshall there. He played pissed off. And let me just make this clear. Obviously, he's a great teammate. He's the one that wanted Justice Haynes to come in. However, it's competition. However,
you mean he
did play amazing.
Justice Haynes.
He recruited Justice Haynes,
to Ann Arbor,
right?
Yeah.
So it's still a competition. He played so amazing in the bowl game. I guarantee you, he didn't come into the season thinking I want Justice Haynes to come and take all the reps. I don't think he thought that. So he played like a pissed off, renewed confidence. I got my opportunity, and they have created a 200 monster now. Obviously, he has to continue to play that way. However, unbelievable. And one name that I left out, and I can't believe I did. Right, I actually didn't put it in my notes because you should remember this.
Right,
Blake Frazier. Wow, don't know a bunch about him. All I know is he's called into duty when Link goes down, and he was graded the highest of all the offensive linemen with the snaps that he had. Unbelievable. It was a beautiful sight to see. It was fun to watch.
We got to mention Andrew Marks too now.
Andrew, no, he's old news. He's old news. He's the dude. We don't have to keep talking about him. He's not even a freshman as far as I'm concerned. He's sophomore. We're going to move on from Andrew Marks. That's it. We're done. And hold on now. We saw a pass on fourth down. Then when Samaj was dropped.
Yeah.
All right now. We were clear. That goes to Marsh. But we'll let it pass because of how well the team responded.
Yeah. I wrote this down as I was watching the defense, but listening to you talk there, it's true of the offense. You know, when I was looking at the defense, I just wrote, I'm like, this is what happens when you play just gap sound and fundamentally sound defense. When everyone's doing their job, the offensive ball carrier, it just funnels right to your linebackers or your safeties. When everybody's in position and playing gap sound defense, the defense just looks effortless against a very dangerous Washington offense. The same is true for Michigan's offense, though. When the offensive line is controlling the line of scrimmage, you can run the ball. When you can run the ball, you can get into multiple play actions, not just downhill play actions, but these lateral play actions. And Bryce has the ability to boot right and boot left. And then you can get into RPO and get vertical. So it's a complementary offense. And the same feeling Michigan fans had last week coming off the USC game, Husky fans have coming off of that game. They're wondering what was that? What was that?
You know what? Jake, let's tell them what it was.
Yeah.
It was the blueprint. We gave it, and they followed it. Sorry, Washington. We apologize. We have a job to do, and we are dedicated to the fan base of the University of Michigan. And
I like being on this side of that.
Of course. Guess what? and if you're a fan of the University of Michigan, how could you not be a fan of the blueprint? And how could you not be liked and subscribed and created new pages and subscribed again and told all your friends, made calls, made group chats, formed your own kind of group chats? This is the players group chat if it ever was one. We give you the good, we give you the bad, we give the analysis, we give you everything you want. What more? I feel like Tyrese. What more do you want from me? Can we get to the pictures on the other side?
Yeah, but real quick, I want to hear, before we get into it, Bryce Underwood. I
That's
mean,
what the
he's
pictures are
growing
for.
up. I know, but he's growing up before our eyes, man. That was a big game for him. I mean, that was one of his statistically one of his best games, but I don't know about you. To me, he looked settled. Like he looked settled into the game. Did
He
you
looked
get
like
that?
he watched the USC film, and it wasn't friendship talking to him. It was leadership and coaching. And they said, you can't be allowed to do this. We have good protection. You need to stay there, and you need to make the throw. Period. And that's what you need when you're a quarterback with so much bravado and so much talent. You don't need friendship. You need hard, intentional coaching and development. And I think that's what he got last week.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's the key. Hey, Bryce, you need to do this more importantly than anything because you're capable of doing it. Not that it's easy. Right now you're young and it's not easy. It's not like second nature quite yet to him. But it looked second nature for the majority of that game. And I give credit to Chip and everybody doing their job to make it easy on him. But boy, I could get used to watching Michigan look like that. So yes, we will step aside for our first break. We'll get to Devin's quarterback breakdown. As we'll mention a bunch. Got a lot of great comments on our shows in recent weeks. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the break for the QB breakdown. Support for the Blueprint comes from Google. Every August, we talk about new rule changes coming to college football. But now that we're in the middle of the season, it's hard to follow the real impact those rules are having on the games. One that comes to mind is the definition of a defenseless player. Obviously, targeting is one of those plays that's really subjective. It has a major impact on games, and it's really fluid in terms of how it gets called.
But with AI mode and Google search, you can just type in, how have this year's college football rule changes impacted the season so far? And AI mode will pull together the key details and give you the summarized AI-powered response. It's perfect for those big, nuanced questions that don't have a simple answer. It doesn't end there. Let's say you want to keep going deeper. With AI mode, you don't have to start a whole new search. You can ask direct follow-ups to learn more about specifics and explore related ideas.
So whether you're wondering about a complex scheme, a new rule, or the intricacies of the transfer portal, with AI mode, you can just ask Google. All right, we're back on the Blueprint for everybody's favorite segment. It is time for DG to get into his infamous quarterback breakdown. I know you guys are going to love this one. Bryce Underwood probably coming off his best performance of the season. So, DG, you have the floor.
I take your probably and I remove it. It's absolutely positive. I'm going to be honest. I've seen him play for a lot of years, and it was always he was the best player. He probably had the best team, even going all the way back to 10-year-old football. This is the best football game I've ever seen him play ever. And you have to account that you can't add because it's difficult, right? He's still learning, right? And he played almost flawless football. I think he was like 78% completion or whatever it was, high 70s. He would have been almost 90 because most of his throws were catchable. Even one that he threw really hard to, I think, the tight end in the flat, that one should have been caught. I don't care. You're in college. Don't throw it hard at me. What are you talking about? So I was super impressed. Haven't been impressed like this throughout the season, and it was clear growth, and let's show them. Let's show them exactly what it was. All right. It's the first one. Man-to-man across the board, right? Middle safety's going there. You need to find either your best matchup or easiest completion, right? Man-to-man coverage. Best matchup or easiest completion. Think like basketball. If they're playing man-to-man, do you want to get the ball to Kyrie or Carlos Boozer, right? I get the ball to Kyrie Irving, right? You want to get it to the guy who's going to get a bucket. Now, if Kyrie's getting double teamed, now you got to get it to your easiest access. Here's the easiest access. It's number 3, and it just happens to be Samaj, and he makes the catch, which is very, very positive. Obviously going to drop one later, but the cool thing about this is the offensive line has turned the protection left, right? So you got 4 guys going left, and they only leave 1 outside. Now, is that completely wrong? Maybe. However, if you're Bryce, you have to understand that I have to get this ball out, and I'm going to probably get hit and have a guy in my face. And he does that. I said in the previous segment that he got his nerve back. Move on to the next picture. This is nerve. This is courage. This is conviction. This is what you want to see from your 5-star $1 million quarterback. Outstanding, standing in there, very confident. Only one guy on the outside, the guy that he has to account for. He accounts for him with the throw. Outstanding. Very good. Let's move forward.
We're real quick. I want to go back to that first picture, though.
I got you.
Because when I was looking at this, Washington, in a perfect world, Bryce would turn the slide to the right. But I'll be honest, I didn't see any major indicators here. So whether there was or it wasn't, all Bryce needed to know is if that guy comes, he's hot. So that's another level, Dev, is like
Hold on.
part of this is he knew he was hot and that ball was out.
Slow it down, Jake. Slow it down. We're not asking Bryce to turn protection just yet. We're still figuring out the coverages now. We got to leave that to the offensive lineman, and they got to live with it. But he does need to know if he's hot. And whether he knew or not, he picked the right guy with soft coverage. So this ball's going to be out. There's no way that end guy should get to him. As long as he doesn't hold the ball, that's great. But come on now, Jake. Don't put too much in his head. Come on now.
It was good stuff regardless, though.
That's very good.
Throw,
Here we go. Move forward. Now, this is an easy concept we call sail. And this is also pure progression. However, it's not the left to right to right to right. It's not that pure progression. It's top to bottom. It's high, low. We go high to low, and lower. Okay? So this is sail. You got a big, deep out route, and Marsh is going to be the guy that takes the top off the defense. Now, the guy that takes the top off the defense just usually doesn't get it. Do you ignore him? No. But you assess it. You assess, is he going to be open? Based on the leverage of the defense, anybody with eyes can see he probably not going to get the ball. So you're going to take a peek, but you're not going to spend too much time on it. Your real read is going to be 2 to 3, right? And 3 is going to be the running back in the flat, right? You want to see what will that defender do that's outside playing that kind of flat area. Let's move on to the next picture, right? You want to look at him. If he lifts, ball's out. We don't have time to waste because you're going to outflank the defense just by the speed of the running back getting out so quickly. Again, perfect coverage, right? Number 1 is dead. Number 2 is an option, but because of the lifting flat defender, you want to get this ball to your running back right away. This is a easy 2 or 3 yard throw, which any quarterback can make. But guess what? It turns into a big, and I think it picks up a first down, right? So outstanding job, easy throw to make, graduate level execution by Bryce Underwood, understanding with a clean pocket, this ball has to get out. I can't wait for my favorite targets. I just can't. I got to get it to the running back, and it ends up being an explosive play. Outstanding job, outflanked immediately, get him the ball. And we kind of talked about that last week in the touchdown, right? With the crossers, he kind of waiting for him. It's a guy open, throw it to him, right? And he's going to walk in the end zone. This is the same type of deal where, number 2, Donovan McCulley, he might get open. He'll be able to jump over this guy. Of course he will. However, get it out now. Don't hold on to the football.
And understand down and distance too, which is like if it's first and second down, early downs, why wait if you can guarantee yourself a profit? If it's even cloudy at all like it is here and you have your guy outflanked, 1st and 10, get that ball out because it'll be 2nd and 5. Or if it's 2nd and 10, it'll be 3rd and manageable. So also having I feel like he took a stride of understanding the situation as well, which is another indicator of high-level quarterback play.
All right, let's move on to the next photograph. Now, the infamous middle open. We've talked about it for weeks on end, weeks and weeks and weeks, and everybody subscribed knows that's something we need to improve on. We need to understand, assess, recognize middle open, but the coaches are just now getting here, so we figured it out. Remember I talked about I wanted to see Chip Lindsey either pure progression or I wanted to see what the coverage is and the play is designed perfectly to go there. We saw a few instances of it against USC. Here's another one. Outstanding job here, right? You're going to get verticals on the outside that are going to turn to curls, right? They're going to stop these curls. Now, middle open, you've learned through the episodes. This is cover 2, split safeties. Move on to the next pictures. When you go vertical, you have the option of getting to the middle when it's open. He gets to the middle, and this ball is already being thrown, and he's just passing linebacker depth. What do I call that? I call that anticipatory passing. You're anticipating where he'll be. He's not there yet, but you need to throw it where he's going to be, even though he's basically at linebacker depth. You can see that those safeties are extremely wide. It's a perfect view of what cover 2 looks like, the corners down the flat. Now, everybody talked about on the interception a week ago where it was hit pass interference on Donovan McCulley, all these things. This is a example of what cover 2 looks like. If you look at the top and at the bottom of the screen where it says flat, those corners are going to collision those wide receivers. That's what it is in cover 2, and it's allowed. That's an allowed thing. However, when you're the quarterback, you recognize that. You see that those safeties are split, and you throw a perfect ball over the middle. Now, this ball was dropped, wasn't caught, but it was a perfect, beautiful throw. Go back and watch it. Outstanding. Move on. This is the very next play. This is the very next play. This play is so impressive to me Because as a young quarterback, when you see middle open, because I'm sure they've talked to him, I'm sure Chip Lindsey has said, hey, listen, if you don't figure this out, they're just going to keep playing middle open, dude. And you're going to have nowhere to throw the football. He knows that, but with knowing that, the very next play, defensive coordinator goes, we're going to close the middle. Middle's closed. And we have a play with a tight end running down the middle. He is not enticed. He drops back. He hits his back foot. He hitches once, sees its middle close, and throws it to the back. Unbelievable. Love it. Love it. And you can hear the excitement in my voice, and I'm not going to calm down. That's outstanding progression. Understanding the situation and getting the ball out. Now, again, look at the pocket. Perfect pocket. Outstanding job. Immediately gets it to the back.
It's the same thing though, Dev, because this is second and long. This was after a penalty. This is second and forever. And he's in. And as soon as Washington reads pass, those are like 7-on-7 drops. Those linebackers are getting depth right away. So as a quarterback, you're saying, I can hold this all day in a good pot. It doesn't matter. They're deep. Let me hit the check down. That's going to be my best play.
You basically replace those linebackers with the football.
Yes.
And then now you get 23 who just turns into a running back in the open field. Outstanding. Move on. Oh, the infamous middle open. I told you you'd see it. You want to know why? Because he hasn't figured it out. And so defenses are going to play that because it's like, okay, well, we can dedicate guys and take away all your receivers and leave the middle open. Sure, let's do it. Well, guess what? Progression. He's moved forward. The question you have to ask, where is my route that attacks the weakness of this defense? What is this defense? It's cover 2. Where's my route that attacks it? It's down at the bottom of the screen, the number 2 receiver. He's going to fly to the middle. Move on. Now, this is where talent comes into play because every quarterback can't make this throw. Every quarterback can make this read. Every quarterback can make this read. They can see split safeties, the corners and the flats, right? So first, it's the basic recognition. Every quarterback can do that, right? Second, it's the anticipation. Every quarterback is capable of doing that. Now, does every quarterback do it? No, but every quarterback is capable of doing that. But third, to make this throw, you got to have elite talent. And that's a plus throw. You've got linebackers trying to get depth to protect that middle, right? You can see the space right there with those red lines. And not only that, the half safety says, I'm going to go help too. So he starts to run back to the middle. That ball has to be up and down quickly. Up and down, up, down. And it's perfectly thrown. Amazing throw by Bryce Underwood.
There might be 5 that can make this. Maybe not even in college.
And it's not not a whole bunch of guys that get the first thing, the second thing, and the third thing.
Right.
The recognition first, because guys just don't read defense well. The anticipation, guys just don't trust it, especially when guys have dropped passes and dropped this very pass on the previous on earlier drives. Yeah. And then third, I mean, it's not a lot of guys got the talent. You just don't got it. You got to check it down because you just don't got the talent to fit this ball in there. Again, a good, clean pocket, and the throw is made. Outstanding job by all parties involved.
And at this point, man, you make this throw. I mean, you could speak to this, Dev. You make this throw when you're feeling it, when you're just feeling it. And this is where I come back to Chip and say I felt he called his best game by far of the season. He put his young quarterback in a position to succeed, and the team rallied around him. And I think that's scary because Bryce is so talented. When he's playing confident, the aura, I think we talked about this, the aura, it oozes off onto the rest of the offense. They all play better when he's oozing that confidence.
And not only did he play with confidence, he played with intentionality. It wasn't a lot of goofing off. I'm glad I got to go to the game to see it was all business. It was like, hey, that was good. We got to keep going. Okay, that was good. We got to keep going.
Hey, it was
a different kind of focus. And it was very impressive to watch. Loved it. Even starting from warm-ups, the focus was there. It wasn't dancing, rapping, all this. It was, I got a job to do, and I'm going to do it well today. So move on to the next picture. This is the best throw of the day and the best play of the day. Now, this comes after the only play of the day that I charted that was a minus for Bryce Underwood. He runs, and he takes like a 4-yard loss instead of throwing the football away, right? That can't happen. Can't happen. But guess what? Guess what? I can have grace when you do something like this on the next play, right? And you guys remember this throw. We don't have to go through it a bunch. It's one of the seldom times he was under pressure, right? You can see a guy right in his face. And this is not an easy throw. This is a long developing play. It's a perfect design. It goes off of what they do a lot. They do a lot of overs, right? So they go over, and then it's like over return. And you have to anticipate this ball is about to be thrown already, and he still hasn't really made his break out. Anticipatory passing. Anticipatory passing. Learn that word, folks, because if he continues to play like this, you're going to hear it every single week because it's just not something you usually see from a freshman, and he exhibited that in this game. And like you said, a lot of credit has to go to Chip Lindsey, but this is conviction. Move forward.
Yeah.
This is conviction. This is courage. This is being able to stand there when a guy is about to punch you right in the mouth and make a perfect throw with tight coverage on the defense. Outstanding performance by Bryce Underwood. Can we pipe in that round of applause one more time? Come on, pipe that round of applause in. I love it. The response
if you lined
is great.
up, you take every quarterback in the Big Ten and just put them a drop back on air there. Keep the route and the coverage. Put a drop back on air. I think there might be less than 5 quarterbacks that could make that if it was a drop back on air. But now you factor that he's about to get hit. He didn't have a clean platform to throw off of, and it was still a perfect throw. It was a perfect throw in far imperfect conditions. That's just high-level stuff.
It was good.
Man.
And when you start to be able to make those plays, when you're feeling good and your coordinators are part of it, Chip Lindsey has to continue early in the game to get him comfortable because once you're comfortable, it's LeBron James Game 6. You can't miss. There is no missing. There is no throw you can't make. There is no throw you can't make. And it's not even arrogance. It's just the confidence that you have, and it oozes from you. Now, with that, because he's shown that, and I don't think he's completely out of the woods. I think teams will still try middle open, but as he continues to make them pay with deep downfield throws in the middle open defense, things are going to change, right? So he's going to have new hills to climb, new battles to battle, and we're going to assess those as we move forward. However, the progression from week 1 to now, as far as understanding what the defense is trying to do, specifically, guys that know, everybody that's watched, the gals and ladies and males that have watched this, they know middle open has been a concern. He kind of exercised that demon, and I was super proud to see that. Now he's got to move forward and know there's going to be different things that are thrown at you, and you have to continue to stay with that disciplined, the footwork always married to the concept, the attitude, the attitude of another mountain to climb. Not, oh, we scored a touchdown. It's the celebration of the lifetime. No, we scored a touchdown. Should have done that anyway. Another mountain to climb. Okay, what's next? It's going to be tough. I need to figure it out again, over again. Now we're up 30. Somebody else will be playing. Right? Then you can celebrate. You can throw all the parties you want. You can do all the dancing, all the crowd stuff. All that stuff is good. And you have to take what they did in this game from a mental standpoint and continue that throughout the season. And now you're going to see a skyrocket of improvement from Bryce Underwood, similar to what we're describing from Saturday.
There's a certain shift that has to happen for Bryce, and when you're a freshman, hey, like he put high expectations. He said preseason, I was talking to him at the Big Ten Network camp tour. He said, you have not seen a freshman like me. So then there's a pressure to perform. But what you're talking about, when you don't celebrate, suddenly it shifts from trying to prove something to, no, this is who I am. This is actually my expectation of myself. That is much more terrifying for the opposing team on the other sideline. So listen, you guys have been great with the likes and subscriptions. We're going to ask for it again. And right after Dev's QB breakdown seems like a great time. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You guys have been awesome. We appreciate the interactions. It's been helpful to us. We're going to step aside for another break. I'll do a little bit of QB breakdown, some O-line stuff, and I'm going to sprinkle in some defensive breakdowns as well to bring it all home. So we'll see you guys after a short break. All right, welcome back as we put a bow on this show. Final segment of the Blueprint on Victory Sunday, coming off a dominating victory over Washington. Dev, I got a little mixed bag for you. I want to start off with our first play, a run play. And it's not always, it's not just downhill runs. Sometimes you got to soften up the defense, but how you do that with motions and window dressing can really affect the defense here. So what Chip Lindsey does, I love it. It starts with Andrew Marsh, a guy who his name is in all the headlines. That's going to draw the attention of the defense. They're going to motion him into the boundary. That is key. That's going to affect the defense. You're also going to pull your left guard around. Linebackers, they react to pulling offensive players. So you got two separate actions, and then you have Jordan Marshall also running run action down to the right. So that's three separate actions that tell the Huskies, I have to go to the right of Michigan's offense. That's where they're showing me window dressing. Meanwhile, you have Donovan McCulley, who, because he's into the boundary, it has a tightened split. He's already in alignment to the quarterback. So let's go to this next picture and watch this play out. There's the motion. I circled number 24. He was going to be one of the contained guys, but his eyes, it's very subtle. He gets sucked up inside because of that motion and because of the pulling guard. Now what you see is Max Bredesen is pulling around the outside alongside Greg Crippen. You have two lead blockers as Bryce is getting ready to flip the ball to Donovan McCulley. So go to this next play, and this is how it all plays out. Because of scheme, you have the ball in the hands of one of your key playmakers with two lead blockers and nothing but green grass out in front of them. This is a staple play of Michigan's offense. They love these wide receiver reverses, but it's how Chip dressed it up with the window dressing that made it work. Let's go to the final play. And here's Donovan McCulley almost 5 to 7 yards downfield before he even gets touched. This is one run play that turns into an explosive run and a first down, Dev.
Yeah, that's a really nice job. But window dressing is always important. You got to make sure that you don't present the same play with the same look. Because for me, I just think defensive players are inherently not very smart. They chose to play defense, right? You chose to be behind. Imagine saying, hey, I want to race you for $150, but I'm going to start way back here. What? Why would I do that? Right? Or I'm going to start facing the opposite way. Right? That just doesn't make sense. So if you choose to play defense, that's on you. The option to play offense was available. You chose not to. So you use it against them. And when you use the window dressing, right, we've seen this play over and over again, but it's from a different look, and the defense cannot assess what's going on.
And to Dev's point, I mean, just put yourself in the Husky linebacker's shoes. They see a jet sweep motion with Andrew Marsh. They see a pulling guard. They see Jordan Marshall. Of course, they're going to trigger to that side of the formation. But Chip, meanwhile, has a rabbit in his hat to get the ball to Donovan McCulley out the gate. All right, next play. This is just, it actually works out well with a ton of the principles you were talking about, just having situational awareness. This is 2nd and 3 for Bryce. You don't need to win the game in this play, and this is just an arrow concept. You have a corner route by the inside tight end. That's going to occupy the deepest defenders. Andrew Marsh is running a little sit route. Really, it's a two-man read for Bryce. If that sit route is open, bang it right now. But if not, go hit your running back in the flat. So watch this play out. And Bryce just does such a great job on the next picture here. Washington is immediately dropping deep right away. So he knows that corner's dead. And Bryce has his eyes now on that linebacker. Well, watch this very next play out, because where Andrew Marsh sits down, that effectively acts as a pick play for the linebacker. And Bryce naturally feels the depth that we've talked about on a number of plays, the depth that is gained by the Husky secondary. Hey, it's 2nd and 3. I'm not going to wait for it. He's anticipating it and feeling it. Bang, a nice, easy check down, and then go to the next play. This is what happens with the check down. Jordan Marshall punishes the defense. Check downs turn into first downs and explosive plays when, as a quarterback, Dev, you're feeling it and you're seeing it.
Yeah, we used to call this Trojan, and it's a high-low pure progression, right? I talked about that, a different version of pure progression, not across the field, but high to low, which means he doesn't even have to go to the other side of the field. It makes it even easier for Bryce, so he goes corner, dead, then he goes to the sit, and then you get it to that back quickly, and like I talked about, you turn into a running back with the football, running over defensive backs who are helpless.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
But it's beautiful, man. Yeah, and that's just the value of this is for Bryce is you have these battering rams. So especially when the opportunity presents it, get the ball into their hands. It'll be the easiest 10 yards you can put on your stat sheet, just dumping a check down to your running backs. All right, well, let's we were critical of Wink Martindale last week. So let's go to a defensive clip here. And if you guys remember, pull up the clip last week against USC. I brought up a play where Michigan was running a blitz. They were running a line stunt. But I said there was no linebacker to replace that line stunt, and USC gashed the Wolverine defense. Well, this is something very similar. Derek Moore, the tight end, was there. You see the tight end motioned up to the top of the formation. So Derek Moore is going to come tight off that tackle's butt. This time, Ernest Hausman is working complementary to Derek Moore's pressure. So go to this next clip. Derek Moore, there he is, really tight off that tackle. Hausman, right away. He knows that this is his run blitz, and he's right in position. I drew that line there because the best thing Hausman does is he remains square to the line of scrimmage. That makes it a really hard read for Damon Williams. They knew this week that Damon is liable to keep it in the read option, but Hausman is square. So he can play the give, he can play the take. Let's go to the next play. It was a take. Damon Williams has it, and Hausman's in perfect position. He slips the tight end and makes the tackle. Now, here's the next level, though, Dev, because here's what I was thinking when I saw this. This was an auto keep for Damon Williams. But let's go to the next picture, because this very well could have been a boot action. Who was going to have DeGraff if he leaks down into the flat? And what I want to challenge is, for that cornerback, you have your eyes downhill. As soon as Denzel Boston, the Husky wide receiver, that is a blocking body. That's blocking body language. As soon as his eyes see the wide receiver come down to crack block, you should no longer be dropping in depth. You have to trigger now. Because if the tight end became a flat option for Damon, the corner has to trigger now. So either way Washington spun it, it would be a negative or no gain. This time we got lucky. Hausman was there and made a nice play on Damon Williams. But had he checked it down into the flat, Dev, I think the corner needs to be ready and triggering quicker because of the receiver's body language.
Yeah, I really like what Wink Martindale did there, because we called it exchange for the linebackers, and with Coach Rose, more with Coach Rich Rodriguez, where his offense was so based on read option that we would use the beginning of practice to work on every scenario possible, right? So it's the defensive end crashing hard, right? You pull that, obviously. Yeah. It's the defensive end kind of feathering, right? There are different rules for me and Denard. Denard had a chance to pull it if he just felt like it was good. For me, if he was square, you give the ball, right? If the defensive end turns his shoulders, right? But then there are those scenarios that we call exchange, right? Where it's a great way to defend it in my estimation. If I was a defensive coordinator and I played a quarterback that ran a lot of read option, I would do this quite frequently, right? You take the defensive end and you crash him down right away. What is that signal for the quarterback? It's a pull. Yep. Right? Well, when he pulls it and you exchange, right? So essentially you exchange responsibilities. That defensive lineman just took the gap that the linebacker would have had. He's already there. And then the linebacker comes around and gets on the outside. Now he is the edge protector, and it confuses the quarterback, right? That's why we worked it so much. And even though we worked it so much, I still got really confused. Denard was just way more talented than everybody else, so he could just run around anyway. But it's a great way to play it, and I love the infusion of this when you're going against a quarterback such as Damon Williams, and it puts everybody in position.
Absolutely. And, Wink was on the same page as you, because I didn't count him and tally him up, but he ran this, and we know Wink likes to bring pressure. I didn't feel he brought reckless pressure in this game. It was timely pressure and structured pressure. He must have ran this like C-gap, linebacker replace, linebacker dog into the read options 5, 7, 10 times. It was a great play call that was working, and he stuck with it. I think I had another play on here. We can go to it. It is just showing Hausman open field tackling on Damon Williams. Not an easy task, but a great way to bring him down. Great job to bring him down in the open space. And then I got one final play here, Dev. It's going to be a shout out to your guy, Blake Frazier, but I'm just going to work you through this. This is what makes Michigan so dangerous. All this, every offense has this in their playbook. It is just inside zone with a crackback block by Hoffman, number 42, who's in there for Max Bredesen. So there's your assignments, the right tackle. And because of this, because of the crackback block, here's an important piece. The offense.
You mean a kick? It's a kick out, right?
Yes. Yep. Hoffman, I got him in the red there. He's coming back, and he's going to end up blocking the defensive end. So what that tells the offensive line is, we can push. It's a push call. Because you have someone to occupy that defensive end, they can all push +1 to the right. So there's your right tackle getting the end man on the line of scrimmage, 41. Your right guard has that 3-tech over top of him. Crippen then can go climb all the way to number 9 there, that linebacker at the top right of the formation. Al-Hadi has man on that down tackle. The key here, though, is Blake Frazier. Even though you're not blocking that defensive end, you still want to be patient because if you go too soon, he's going to crash down and you screw Hoffman. But if you're patient and hold that space, a hole gets open. Watch it open in the next hole. Next play. So here he is. I want to also highlight this is what I think you said this last week. First off, look at the pad level, but most importantly in zone.
It's like synchronized dancing.
Synchronized dancing. Every single offensive lineman is stepping in unison, including the running back Jordan Marshall. Look at that. That is good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Next picture. Here's the hole being formed. You see Frazier? He's patient, holding that hole open.
He's posting, holding him, just touch him with you, just give him something to look at. Hold him with your arm a little bit. Don't go blowing out of there. And it sets up the block perfectly because now he felt like he was dealing with you, but now the person he's really going to have to deal with is about to knock the crap out of him.
Yep. And a great job by Al Hadi. Everybody's winning front side. Let me correct. Go back to the very first picture because I'm going to give Frazier a big time plus here. Do you see that number 17 by that back arrow to the left?
Mm-hmm.
Frazier, that's really his guy. Okay, that's really Frazier's guy. He should be climbing to that because he's at linebacker level. Now go back to this very next picture that I was going to show you. This is what I love about Frazier. You're coming into the game. He is on the fly saying, my guy is not dangerous to the play. Actually, what's most dangerous is that safety that's coming downhill because that guy is being held by Bryce with the keep fake. So Frazier had his eyes on that number 17 initially, but even though he's just fresh off the sidelines in for Evan Link, he's already playing high IQ football and saying, that's not the most dangerous. The safety is the most dangerous. Let me climb. Great block by Hoffman. Great block by El Hadi. That is the parting of the Red Sea. You could drive a truck through that hole. Just a great job by the offensive line across the board.
Yeah, what makes it more impressive for Frazier, if you go back to that first play with the squiggly is so important. And the squiggly line is very important because if he blows out of there and just does his job, right, he's going to go get number 17. And what is he going to do? Firstly, he's going to create a huge gap. Right, a huge gap, and Hoffman's not quite there yet. So now you're going to be able to really blow Hoffman up and also get to the running. Like it's just going to make it very muddy for the running back's vision. Right, we talk about the quarterback and the back end being muddy. It can be muddy for the running back as well. So him being able to not only post but not just go running, it allows him to assess what's happening in real time. This is why I don't love the analytics all the time, because this is real football. This is his brain. This isn't, it's Madden, he's supposed to go block him, but this guy's here, but I'm supposed to go block him, right? This is, okay, I post, do that part, and then as I start to move, not quickly, slowly, I can see MDM. What does that stand for, people? Most dangerous man. Wide receivers use it, but also offensive linemen have to be aware if 17 refuses to come down into the box, which he can't. Why? Because Bryce Underwood is a threat, right? So he has to stay. He doesn't know, is it going to be an over route coming to me? Is Bryce Underwood going to keep it and run on the outside? I have to be here. Well, if he's not going to help the play, why would I go block him? He blocked himself. He's out. He can't. He's hardly ever. He's not even in the picture, right? He's outside of the film. The all-22 can't even locate him, right? But number 12 can see everything happening, and he's the person that's going to blow up the play. And the fact that you come off the bench cold, we talk about quarterbacks coming off the bench cold, we talk about wide receivers, running backs, a lineman coming off the bench cold and understanding and have the poise to know, I'm not going to blow out of here and go block my man. I'm going to play this play like a football player, not like a person in a computer. And I'm going to make the most dangerous man pay so that we can have an explosive run. Outstanding job by him. Obviously, offensive line together, but 77, he gets the most of the credit because that's at the point of attack. And if that doesn't work, this play doesn't work. 12 is going to scream down. He's going to make a play on the running back, and we're never going to get a chance to talk so glowingly about Blake Frazier. Outstanding job by him. I can't say enough. It's tough. It's tough to come in and play quarterback off the bench. It's tough to come in and play other positions, I guess. But coming in to play left tackle, where everything depends on you. It's not easy.
Well, and Sharon said in his post-game presser, and we can close out of these pictures and transition to the Michigan State preview quickly. Sharon said there were a lot of tough conversations this week. He said within the program basically about the players questioning, like, who is all in? Who is all in and who isn't? Clearly, the players were all in. Another guy worth mentioning, the offensive line coach, Grant Newsome. That doesn't happen by accident. That is coaching that gets his guys prepared. Great job by Grant. So just across the board, great win. Dev, it's rivalry week. Not much to be said here, man. Michigan State is not in a good place as a program, but it is rivalry week.
Hey, I usually use this lip balm. It's really good. It's from Japan. But guess what color it is? Get this out of here.
Get it out of here, baby.
I'm not using it. My lips are going to be chapped.
Tell me about this week.
So I've had Michigan State, and they're a team right now. They are reeling. They were kind of the catalyst for what UCLA is able to do now, right? However, they are not a team you are going to be able to walk over if you don't play football the way that you just play football. If the team that played against USC goes out there, it's going to be a dogfight. Now, you probably still win the game, probably because you just have better players, right? But if you go out there the way it looked against USC, it's going to be a long day. And any Lansing rivalry game, they are going to be motivated. They don't have much to play for, right? They feel like they're kind of losing it. And this is like kind of their perfect springboard to get back on track and get a bowl game and all these different things. Don't allow it. Do not take the cheese. And don't watch this podcast. Coaches watch it, but players don't. You don't want to hear how well you did. No, flush it. I don't even see a real reason to watch so much of this film. Some of it, obviously, but it should be flushed by the time you watch this. By the time you watch this, the fans, this game should be flushed, and they should be moving forward to make sure that they beat a rival. But you have to have the right mentality. You can't have a mentality of job's finished, job's not done, right? You're not out of the weeds. Your quarterback doesn't recovers perfectly. Your offensive line, they don't always step together like that, right? Running backs, they don't always see clear holes, right? There's not a lot of space all the time, right? You don't know that just yet. You want to make sure you continue to play. Now, for the defense, in my opinion, they got back to what they always have kind of done, right? So I think that they will be just fine. However, they are playing a talented quarterback with talented wide receiving weapons. However, they can't block a soul. They can't. They just can't. They struggle in the pass block game. Now, will their offensive coordinator have answers for that? I would think so. However, you need to be ready for it. You want to know why? Because against USC, they weren't going to be able to block you, but they knew that, and they had a plan, right? So you have to be ready for that plan and get back to that dominant defensive football, and it's going to allow the offense, whether they start slow or quick, to continue to grow because there's still growth that has to be had. It's going to be a Marsh versus Marsh battle, right? We've got a young Marsh. They've got a young Marsh.
Yep.
He's a really good Marsh. Nick Marsh, very good player. They haven't been able to get him going as much as they might have liked to because they can't protect, but he's still a dangerous player. So defensively, you got to be ready for that. I'm really excited for this game. I almost had this game. Kind of happy I don't have this game because now I can have a little bit of rooting interest,
Right.
But I think it's going to be it should be a dominant football game. However, it's a rivalry game, so it's going to be a tough, gutted out type of game. And if you can stay level-headed, and when I'm saying this, I mean quarterback, head coach. Stay level-headed. Continue to work in that business-like kind of way. I think they'll be just fine. I don't think there's much to worry about.
I think that the number one thing I'm looking at from an X's and O's standpoint is the secondary. I mean, they've been tested, and MSU is not quite like USC. I wouldn't even compare the two, from a execution standpoint. But Childs can spin it. Nick Marsh is a dangerous receiver. That's been their offensive identity. They've been able to threaten teams vertically. So it's a big week for the secondary, but more so than anything, success is as challenging to handle as failure. We saw Michigan respond to failure coming off that USC loss. Now everyone's patting you on the back. You have to handle success because the truth is for Michigan State, their season has been disappointing, but their season can be made. They can forget about all their pain if they upset Michigan and ruin the Wolverines season. So that's going to be the message. So you have to come ready to play, and I believe they'll come ready to play. This is one of those games you get up for. So it'll be a fun one, man. And we'll be back here on Sunday to break it down. Hopefully for our alma mater, it's another victory Sunday. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Dev, great stuff with the QB breakdown. You guys hit that like button, that subscribe button, and we will see you next week on The Blueprint.